This video is to talk about the use of an interactive device in the classroom. This was a really fun activity for me because it was something that I've never even thought of before. I've never considered putting one of these devices in the classroom, and I didn't even know that this was a thing, right? That teachers were doing this. So it was fun for me to read about it and to read about the different devices and pros and cons of each and which one that teachers recommended. So after all of my reading, I decided to talk about the Echo with Alexa, and this was one that I just saw recommended over and over again. And after reading about it and all the programs and options that it has, if I do decide to try this in my classroom, I would try Alexa first. Now, I don't own an interactive device besides Siri on my iPhone, so when I demonstrate these questions, I will say, "Hey Siri," but all of these questions that I'll ask Siri, Alexa could answer as well. And actually, she can do more than Siri can do anyway. So first, I just want to talk about general ways that this device could be useful in the classroom. During calendar time, you can ask Alexa, "What's the weather today?" You can ask her temperature and information like that. For teachers, you can say, "Alexa, remind me to send these papers home at 3 o'clock," and she can remind you to do that. So that could be very helpful in the classroom. You can ask Alexa to set a timer for 10 minutes, and right then it starts counting. You can ask her to set an alarm. Students can ask her, "What time is it? What's the date?" I know that question would be very, very useful, so you don't have to answer that 20,000 times a day or say, "Look at the board." She also has, just general like fun options. So like you can ask her to play a certain type of music. If your class is one of those that the students like background noise or white noise or some ambient noise, she can play that for you. You can ask her to tell you a joke, play rock, paper, scissors, just fun, maybe like reward options like that. So to get more specific, I tried to come up with a question that you could ask her in each subject. So to start, I'll start in reading. Alexa can read stories to you, which I think is so cool. It would be so fun for a small group. If you have the apps like the Amazon Audible app, the iTunes library, I'm not sure what that one's called, the Kindle app, and you have stories on those, you can ask her to read a story and she'll read it out loud to you. There's also a feature called Select a Story, and Alexa will begin to read the story, but then at some point during it, she will ask you, "What do you want to do next?" So if you've been following the story and paying attention, you should be able to answer that question. You can think, "Well, you mentioned that you heard a sound in the woods. I want to go check out that sound," and the story will continue that way. So that would be a fun small group or, reward or, listening practice. That would be a fun tool. Writing, Alexa can answer questions like, "How do you spell this word? Can you define this word for me? What is a synonym for this word?" So to demonstrate, let me ask Siri, "Hey Siri, how do you spell thermometer?"
Thermometer. THERMOMETER.
So that would really help, students when they're maybe writing papers or something. I also think that this would help a lot of English language learners. Okay, moving on to math. Alexa can do all the basic calculations, right? Addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, which would be a good way for students to check their work. But I also think it's really cool that Alexa has options like flip a coin, pick a card, roll a dice, pick a number between blank and blank. And I think this would be fun to use in a probability lesson. So I can ask, "Hey Siri, roll a die."
1.
"Hey Siri, flip a coin."
Tails.
So you could use that during a probability talk. Continuing on, science. Now, because I would say that this device is essentially just like a search device. So any topic you ask Alexa about, she should be able to give you information on that topic. So if I said, "Hey Siri, tell me about tigers."
The tiger is the largest extant cat species and a member of the genus Panthera.
He would have continued talking, but I cut him off. So that could be, a fun way to introduce a topic in class or something like that. History and social studies, kind of the same idea, as in science. Any topic that you want information on, she can answer. You can also use it for geography. You can ask her, state capital questions or questions about countries. You could play, there's a U.S. capital game for Alexa that she'll ask you, what's the capital of Alabama? And you have to answer Montgomery, and she'll say correct or try again. So if I asked, "Hey Siri, what's the capital of Alabama?"
Montgomery is the capital of Alabama.
So all in all, I think this is a really neat idea for the classroom. I do see where it could get a little out of control, which is why I would spend a lot of time at the very beginning going over expectations, rules, guidelines on how we're going to use this, especially for older kids. Now, if I had, if I put it in my preschool classroom, kids cannot talk to it, right? I would program it just to respond to my voice. But, for those older kids, like I've been in third grade a lot this semester. So for third grade, I could see, having these rules and expectations laid out, and, students can follow them and have access to Alexa to ask her those questions. I would also put something like this up in my classroom. I found this on Pinterest, but it lists, on this side, it lists all of the appropriate questions that students can ask Siri or Alexa. So I'll put that as a reminder in my classroom. But all in all, I think this is a really neat idea, and I definitely think that it's worth trying in the classroom if you're comfortable with that technology.